Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 68. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by the man in the Atlantic, Mark, the Canadian Carabin. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, when I tell people where you're from, they don't believe you, are on the furthest reaches. There are sea monsters out there. You're on an island. Essentially, you're like the place that you're going to be held off in the world and will be the one that survives the zombie apocalypse, because we know zombies don't like water.
You know what the great thing about that is this week we actually have someone that grew up a little further east, if you'll believe it, a half-hour time zone past my Atlantis time zone, with Aquaman chilling over here on the island on a slightly further island. So I'm super excited that we have someone that not only will believe me, but lived in a place with a wonky half-hour time zone difference. So this is great to me. I'm feeling welcome and acknowledged, and like someone's going to understand what's going on.
Yes, this is very exciting. This is becoming the Canadian East Coast podcast for some reason. Don't understand it, but I love it. Respect it. We are going to introduce a new guest on our co-op couch, and that is Mrs. Leah Jewer. She is the co-founder of the Girls on Game podcast, host of senior digital content manager for iHeartRadio Canada, and Ubisoft Canada Guild member. Welcome. That is a lot of credits. I hope I didn't screw up many of them.
You got them all right. Thanks so much, guys.
Woo!
I'm really happy to be here. And yeah, the East Coast connection is strong.
I was going to say California a couple times. And it's like, oh, it's CA, California,
Canada.
Or Canada. Yeah.
We'll
I should know better.
the American idiot soon enough, Todd. Don't worry. By the end of it, you'll be ready for a Jigs dinner, a big scoff, and a kitchen party.
Oh my God.
Mark, I told you I'm from Michigan. Mark, I told you I'm from Michigan, right across the road from Ontario, CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, Mr. Dress Up. I watched all that stuff and from my home in Michigan. So I'm practically Canadian. Right now I'm lower Canada in Minnesota. So I feel a kinship. Yeah. I'll go to Winnipeg one of these days again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're pleased to have Leah on the show. But, and one way you can say how much you like Leah being on the show is you can rate and subscribe us on iTunes. 5 stars reviews will get read on the show. And you can also go to YouTube, subscribe there. Tell us how wonderful we look, my background. If you want any requests for that, you can also say it there. So please do that. But enough of that. Leah, this is a very important announcement we have. We are running a contest, actually sponsored by one of our friends, who has requested our listeners, anybody under the sun, design Xbox controllers from the design lab for his son and his daughter. His daughter is 11, his son is 8. And they said if you design a controller for them and they pick the design, he will donate $100 each to the people who created the designs. So if anybody has a creative bent and want to create for either of these two wonderful children, we'd love it to see your design.
Exactly. So for the son's design, he's looking for something Captain America kind of themed, likes the Marvel kind of side of things. For the daughters, she's looking for like a light blue and purple Minecraft also inspired kind of design. So she's like, I'm racking my brain. I've got the Cap one locked in. I've redone hers like 16 times right now. And I keep running it by my wife, just being like, okay, 11-year-old, what would you think of this? And she just keeps like, yeah, that one's great. And I'm like, no, I need to change it. So like, I keep going back to that because I'm like, I want to get it right. So anyone that thinks they can top my like anal obsessive little redesigning, let's see him. I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with. And it's such a great thing that Sean's thrown up just the charitable donation to the charity of the winner's choice. And they're actually going to get these controllers. That's such a cool thing. Like everyone's winning here.
So Leah, you're a Minecraft gamer. Wasn't there a Minecraft pig controller, or am I getting that wrong?
There was.
I think there was, yeah. And along with an Xbox, I feel like I'm trying to remember which model it was. I think it was like the OG Xbox One that they actually made a version that was Minecraft theme. And I believe someone on our team ended up with one at one point, but Yeah, I don't know what ended up happening to it. So that's a good
There was
question.
also,
But I knew one existed.
there was a creeper controller as well.
Yeah.
The green.
Yeah. So
So
I
there's
think,
the pig and then the green creeper controller. And I
yeah, and
think
then
you're right.
the console looked like the dirt.
The dirt with
Or
the
the earth,
green,
yeah.
the
How
grass
creative,
patch,
dirt.
Yeah.
the grass patch on top. Yes, and it was, I
Yeah.
believe, I think that was an Xbox One S actually, with like
Maybe. Yeah.
like the grill on top, but it was
Okay.
so see through. I'm just trying to grab it here. It might have been an original. No, that was a DS. Yeah, I've got it up here finally.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I
that's a
can
cool
see
looking kind of thing.
I can see it being a challenge trying to pick out like the right Minecraft colors to make a nice controller too, without having like the benefits of being able to put the imagery from Minecraft onto it too, right?
Yeah, that's my struggle.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about this. I don't know if they want us to select the tagline, like the logo or anything. So that could be something there too. So something else to think about. Obviously, you could put it out there, and if they choose it or not, that's fine. But yes, please do this. This is so awesome. They're very excited about this. They're so excited to like vote, and they're just very excited. They are big gamers, and they are great kids. So with that, we're actually turning to the Discord group and doing something a little different this week. But before we do that, Leah, we know a little bit about you in this like 2 minutes we've talked to you. So it's not like we know enough yet. So we need to know more. So what is your gaming origin? What made you the gamer you are today?
All right. So we have to go back to the NES. My brother got one for Christmas one year. And of course, the way that it was marketed was to boys, right? So he got the console. But, me being the older sister, I would, help him play. And I was always really interested in tech and gear and stuff. Like when Dad first got the internet and all that kind of stuff, I was a real nerd about it. So Doug got the console. He and I played together. And then as the years went, he got the SNES. And then we played that together. Lots of Turtles in Time, Mortal Kombat, all that kind of stuff. And then the year came where Doug and I were like, okay, we want the holy present, the Nintendo 64. So we went together. We were like, okay, Mom and Dad are not, like, it's expensive. Mom and Dad are, or Chris, Santa Claus, or whoever's coming. We got to make sure this is guaranteed. So he and I together asked for this console, and we shared it and loved it. We spent many an hour playing Zelda Ocarina of Time with our buddy who lived down the road. We would pass the controller back and forth trying to beat that water temple level. And ever since, I've been hooked on it. Even when I went away to university and Mom and Dad were like, no, you're not buying a PlayStation. You might fail out of school. And lo and behold, I ended up buying one anyway. And now they realize that gaming's something that I really, really enjoy and really love. And, it's not a waste of my time. And you can kind of shoehorn a career into it now.
Oh, yeah. That is awesome. I did the exact opposite. I convinced my parents for Christmas that my sister would really like the Atari 5200. My sister hated gaming. I don't know how they fell for it, and my sister was pissed to this day.
That's a good one.
Terrible. I mean, it's brilliant.
Is that what siblings are for? Like to really set them up?
Yeah. Did the Grinch get you something the next year? Like, what kind of like?
Yeah, I feel like you need payback.
Yeah,
my grandma hooked me up and got me a Pelican sweatshirt for Christmas, so that was kind of my comeuppance, and I had to wear it in like pictures. So I'm not wearing it right now.
There's documentation.
Money to whoever has those pictures. That's
pretty much. Very cool. Very cool. Well, awesome. Last question though. Do you have a favorite game or franchise?
Ooh, so Ocarina of Time was my favorite game of all time. And then it was unseated by Breath of the Wild. Just because I'm really interested in kind of seeing where the pivot points are in a lot of industries, be media, be it history, whatever. I feel like that game, Ocarina of Time was similar, but there's a moment in time when Breath of the Wild came out and how games changed after that. And we can honestly see the difference, even when that game came out and Horizon Zero Dawn came out at the same time, and just the freedom that Breath of the Wild gave you to climb anything, to go wherever you want. And then you saw all that stuff, and then the thought-provoking puzzle mechanics of thinking about like, oh, electricity will go through these metal cubes. They'll also go through your sword because, hey, it's metal, right? So it's those kinds of things with different, changing the problem solving kind of messing with the tropes that we're used to in a Zelda franchise, that this game kind of like started to pull you and be like, hey, you're going to feel some of the regular stuff you're used to, but let's throw you for a loop. And so that game is really, it really is now my favorite game of all time. But, you know, something else may come along at one point and prove me wrong again.
I love being able to like play with the physics in that game. It was so creative to be able to be, like you said, your weapons conduct electricity. So if there was something like, I remember solving a puzzle this way, like I couldn't find whatever metal brick or something it was that I needed. So it's just like, well, I've got a stock full of electric weapons. Let's just line them up all on the floor and like conduct the electricity to where it needs to go instead of finding these actual metal things in the stage. And it worked. Like I cheated the system that way, but like it actually triggered the thing and opened the door and I was like, whatever, let's go. And
didn't it make you feel so smart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and just like being able to do that and like, yeah, feel smart, but also just be like, how good, like, it felt like such a play box because they just set the rules and the physics and the like the rules of their universe. And then it was like, well, figure it out from there, you know, like have fun and be creative in your problem solving, where so many games up until that point, and even continuing on, were like, this is the one way to solve the puzzle. And even if something logically makes sense in the universe to be able to solve it a different way, you're not allowed to solve it that way. And it's like, but come on, I'm in a video game where there's like powers and this and that and whatever. And why can't I just like, you know, like I can shoot fire out of my hand. Why can't I light the candle with that? No, you need the flame arrow to light that candle. It's like, frick off. I don't know, like, why? Come on. But like, you know, if there's something on fire in Breath of the Wild, that will light whatever you need to go on fire. Like it's such a special game.
I will have to send you a copy. I don't know if it's possible. It might be copyrighted by my son. But for his AP Physics paper he did just recently, he experimented with Breath of the Wild, and you know how you could freeze things and then hit them and basically create a reaction. So he basically figured out all of the physics and the force and all of those like calculations behind it to do it. And he had like screenshots from the Switch. And I'm like, are you really doing work? Yes, Dad, I'm taking screenshots. But it was very cool. So I'm like, there's such a cool way to take gaming and turning a thing. And it's funny because you talked about Breath of the Wild. I will talk about a game I just played and kind of understood why I think Nintendo had to do something different. And we'll talk about that and what we've been playing. So that's a segue, folks. But we're going to now move to quick questions from our Discord group. So I want to thank that team in Discord. They've been great. They're always good discussions. So if you want something fun to talk about and anything about video games, Star Wars, Star Trek, stupid comic books things, whatever you want to do, or Ariana Grande singing in Fortnite, that's a place to do it. So with that, so we had a couple of quick questions. So at this point, guys, just very quick, not very deep introspective, just your first gut reaction, you know, minute or two or less per one of these questions. So just really want your initial thoughts, and that's all. So if you say something really crazy and you get, you know, called out on the internet, that's perfectly fine. We love that stuff. Being infamous is fantastic. First question. What are your takes on all the news on PlayStation VR 2?
Love it. You can't see it because my PSVR is hidden behind the microphone. But it's there. Look, I can move it. There she is.
There it is.
Ice cream scoops.
Yeah, so I'm here for it. I love VR. I love the PlayStation VR. And if they can improve what they've been able to do here, I can't wait. I'll be buying it day one.
Yeah, for me, I love the concept of VR, but I haven't dove into any specific type of VR yet. I've said numerous times on the show that the one tempting me so far the most is the Quest 2, and right now, just because I haven't been able to get it, I'm at that teetering point of like, do I wait for a Quest 3? Do I get a Quest 2 now? Do I wait for that to go on sale, come up for Black Friday, or maybe when the 3 is announced, the 2 will go on sale? I'm in that like wiggle zone of like, what's going to happen and what do I want? But if you're invested in the PlayStation ecosystem, I think there's only room to improve as far as the VR2 goes. And I think this time around they've hopefully taken what they need to learn from the fans, and they're just gonna come out with a knockout product. So it's gonna be exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think they finally have got to a good design. It's different where PlayStation, they kind of did a whole generation of this versus Oculus were like, oh, we brought the first one out. Early adopters like me, oh, here's a better one. Like a year later, I'm like, and it's cheaper? Come on, you're killing me. But I actually talked to my friends who are not into big gamer to buy a Oculus Quest. They loved it, so they've got it. I'm like, that's so bizarre that we're at the point now it's actually can be purchased and it's an easy buy at $300. PlayStation VR 2, I do worry about the price point. And I think it's going to be frustrating to a lot of people that it's not wireless. But if they do what Oculus did, which is basically using the Oculus wireless connection, which has worked really well. I've used the virtual desktop with my PC, using the power of the system, but using a high-speed connection wirelessly. It could be cool, but it might not just have the battery installed, because it needs a battery. But it could have battery packs. So, but I mean, if they can nail it, and I still don't know how they're going to solve the backwards compatibility because there's so much different in regards to the interfaces and all those things. But if they can do an easy way to bring all those games forward, that's going to be kind of cool. It's a differentiator for sure.
I think even like a single clean cable will be good. And that pass through is very important as well. Like being able to do the full 4K HDR, like all that kind of stuff, like have that pass through without having to swap out your connection every time. Like, I think that's going to be important to people.
I think the controllers are going to be big this time because
those
are the Move controllers are not the greatest, They were good enough, right? And like playing Beat Saber, there's nothing better. Mm-hmm. But when you start getting into some of the other games, it's just like it's awkward to hold them because it's not natural. And even just holding your normal controller is kind of odd. Like it doesn't feel natural. Like I actually, when I play with my Switch, and I play on the TV, I often don't control the two Joy-Cons. I have my hands independent, and I found that much more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And they're also smaller, so it's lighter and all of that. And I would like something similar with the PlayStation controllers. Now, I did see they have that form factor that kind of looks like one of the other VR models.
It looks like the Quest.
Ring around it. Yeah.
It looks a lot like the Quest. Yeah.
And in that sense, I think that that may feel a little bit more comfortable and natural in your hands. But like when I was playing the Iron Man game, I just found it weird to hold those controllers, considering I wanted to just have my hands out and be like Iron Man and put them palms down.
Yes.
So. So yeah, I think that's one of the big...
Just tape it from duct
tape it? Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think if they can improve the controller situation, that'll be helpful too. And is it going to use the camera at all?
No, it's going to actually have the cameras. It's going to have the cameras built in, very like Oculus. So it has that cool, like you can actually see from it versus being like, I'm completely covered up and someone could murder me right now and I wouldn't even know it. Or you could trip over your dog and die. So
yeah. Not good. Yeah, I would do the whole like sneak thing where I would slide the thing out and just look around, kind of my peripheral vision, and then snap it back on. So yeah, I'm glad that the cameras are going to be on it because that I think is key.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a cool innovation. Yeah. Next question: what do we all think about Avengers? Where it is and where it's going?
Leah, you played that? Yeah.
Yes.
Meh. I don't really care, to tell you the truth. And I played it. I guess I got about halfway through the story mode in the original game. And then there's, of course, the multiplayer side of it, which seems to be the thing that they're building up. I'm just not much of a massive multiplayer online gamer like that. So it doesn't really appeal to me too much. And also, too, if I'm going to go in a game like that, I kind of want to make my own characters. I don't necessarily want to build someone or play someone else's creations, though they're cool, but I like to do it in the context of the story. Like the Spider-Man games, they're phenomenal. And I love playing, but then I'm playing Spider-Man. And I just didn't like in the Avengers game jumping around and choosing different characters. And it's just weird. They're not the ones in this cinematic universe. And that's kind of my Marvel right now. So yeah, I'm just like, meh, it's okay for those that like it. Go for it.
They're the 90s version of the Avengers that would have been before Marvel MCU made them.
But they're not, though. Like, they're not any... like some of the designs are great and some of them are like great value brand, Like it's close to the real thing, but it's like
The Super Amigos.
these aren't great. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and that's coming from someone that has like, you can probably not see it, but the Captain America statue right here from that game.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I've been getting back into this game since I mentioned this in the Discord. I did find like that special edition with the Captain America statue and all that kind of stuff for like $50, and then took the game, like, because I already had the digital version of the game, and so I took the game and sold it for 30 or 35. So I got like the statues and like the Hulk bobblehead and all that kind of stuff for essentially $15, and I was like, yeah, I'll call that a win. But I have been since then getting back into the game just because didn't love, but I liked the story mode enough that it was like, this is fun. Never got into the multiplayer stuff. I tried a couple of times. It was like connection issues and like just people in different parts of the story. So we couldn't really mesh up with like what was going on and everything. So, I thought the story, like centering around Kamala, was entertaining. I like her as a character. Really looking forward to her MCU TV show debut, and her being in the Marvels. I just rewatched Captain Marvel 2 nights ago, and I love that movie, and can't wait to see more characters, in that universe. But yeah, I never really played the expansion stuff. So I'm just jumping in now with like the Kate's stuff with the first like Hawkeye expansion. I still have to get into Clint's stuff as the second Hawkeye, like going back in time or forward in time, or what I think it's forward, right?
It's forward. He's
facing
Future
Maestro.
Imperfect.
Future Imperfect, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right. Should have known the name of that one. And I'm very, very excited for Black Panther stuff. From what I've seen, some of the designs, I think they're, again, learning from listening to fans, just like I'm hoping for PSVR. They seem to be getting better with the designs. They've been releasing more MCU character designs. I just bought, because of course, if I'm playing a game, I'm going to be a sucker for the DLC. So I just bought MCU, the Endgame version of Thor, because that was one character that I love playing as, love in the comics, love in the MCU. And in this game, I was just like, I hate every single armor design that he has. It's either the hair looks like straw, or the helmet's just like the old school kind of Thor design, but it didn't fit in with that world of everyone else's design. Or he was just wearing a t-shirt or something. Like, it was just like there was something about it.
Classic
anyway,
Thor t-shirt.
Right. And it just drove me crazy. So now I have a Thor that looks like a Thor that I want to play as, and I'm loving it. So I like it when you can just focus on the story, but I still think the multiplayer stuff feels tacked on, forced, and they should have just done a Spider-Man style story where per mission, maybe I don't get to choose who I'm playing as for most of the missions. Like, I would very much enjoy a Black Widow mission and a Thor mission and this and that, and tailor the mission around that character, just like they did with Spider-Man. And I don't know, because when you have a stage that you can play as anyone, I think I mentioned this on the show before, like Iron Man felt slow, but it was because if you were playing that stage in multiplayer, you had to be able to keep up with Iron Man as Black Widow. So Iron Man could fly through the stage in 2 seconds. Same with Thor, but instead they were like handicapped by this, like everyone has to play along kind of thing. So there's still some things that bug me about the game, but I'm enjoying the story at least. And I'm excited again for the Black Panther story.
Cool.
Yeah, this is kind of like spoiler because what we've been playing. So
a little bit, yeah. Also, so I'm gonna knock that off of what I've been playing because I have been playing that
exactly.
So that's
exactly because I did the same thing. So I got back into Kate Bishop, played her mission because I'm like, well, Black Panther's coming out, so I want to knock out all the expansions. I like Kate Bishop and what they did, although they gave her ability like to teleport and all these other things. She's got a sword, so I'm like, I don't know if she's really like Kate
the
Bishop.
Explanation of that, like that she's been stealing technology from AIM. I did like, because otherwise she would just feel like Hawkeye and Black Widow kind of mixed, and it's like you need to do something, and again, like Black Widow kind of had her little like line or hook grapple line or whatever. So because she can't jump as high as Cap or fly like Thor, so how do you get her up on high buildings? grapple.
Yeah. So a teleport kind of makes sense.
So how do you get Kate
I
up there? Is
yeah.
and oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, but I just thought it was kind of silly to have two archers. It just seemed like
dumbest decision
their cadence and this game got totally screwed up with their launching because they talked about they're going to have a character every month and all these different things.
Yeah.
And obviously COVID got in the way of that cadence.
Yeah.
And I was curious, I do not think this was the right franchise for this type of game, this game as a service, because the Avengers aren't ones who wear armor in this case. They have classic costumes. Hulk doesn't wear costumes. When you upgrade him with a new spine, it's kind of like it just feels out of place. So I'm like, okay. And also Hulk and Thor are having the same amount of impact on the same bad guys as Black Widow. To me, it's just I just like, okay, I get it. It is what it is, but it just feels I want to feel powerful in the Hulk. And they have some cool movesets, but it just like feels out of place. But I will tell this is so ridiculous. This game, I was playing the Kate Bishop, Mark, and I don't know, I turned down the difficulty to easy. And I know I didn't have to do that for the main game because I was getting killed in these missions where you had to basically put 3 codes into a door, then unlock another door, and then but you had to survive, and my teammates were not helpful at all. So I'm like, I'm getting the brunt of everybody coming after me. My teammates are not helping me at all. So I kept on dying, and I'm like, what's going on here? This seems so weird, considering I did no problem with the main game at normal difficulty. So I finally did it, but it was just so frustrating because you'd have to start all the way over again, which meant another 45 minutes of doing the same thing over, which the game is repetitive as heck. The enemies are boring. So I just think it's a missed opportunity. So I totally get that. I do like the fact that it's Clint in the future taking down the Maestro, old man Hawk guy, and then we're getting Black Panther next.
Yep.
Now, if they had charged for the expansions and you could like earn the costumes, I don't know if people would be any less happy. So that's the problem. There's no win-win with this unless they are. From what I've heard, there's a rumor this game might be going free to play.
See, that
and you
that
just
would
buy
make
the-
sense.
you just
'Cause
buy the
I think
costumes.
people just are not. I think even with the expansions and they seem to have been trying a few different things, and I don't think anything's working for them. So that makes sense. Try to get a few more people in it.
Sure.
Kind of like Destiny on Game Pass, just like throw it for free and hope people jump in. Because I mean, paying for this game and their DLC is not cheaply priced. Like I said, I did buy Thor, but that was kind of like one of those decisions where I was like, ugh, do I want this? And like, maybe I'll get the enjoyment out of using a Thor that I actually can stand the look of. But I think that's a smart choice. Like
that must be tough though, because they have to balance not just Crystal Dynamics making money, but paying for the license.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So whatever contract they signed, if they did want to go free to play, that's a huge maneuver too, because it also, I don't know why people think this, because often the free to plays do better, but it makes it give this optics like, oh, it failed as a paid game, so now it's free to play. You know what I mean? So the optics of it, people call them out for that, when I think actually, free to start is often a better way to go.
Absolutely.
To get people hooked.
Absolutely.
So,
We've talked about it here with Fortnite, with Rocket League, and a whole bunch of different games that have come out and said the exact same thing that you're saying is, it's such with so much choice now as gamers, especially for games that are continuous and they want you to keep replaying. The barrier for entry to those games almost can't be anything more than free, because the expectation is there that like, okay, I can spend, especially in Canada, it's like I can spend $90 on this new game that might suck in 6 months. It might suck right now. Especially if the early reviews start to be kind of, meandering somewhere in the middle. Like if the cost of entry is $0, awesome. I'm going to try it. And I'm going to talk about a game I've been playing where the cost of entry was $0. And I'm like, I don't know, I might hate this, but luckily I'm very much enjoying it. But it just takes away that fear. And I think, like you said, with paying for the license, I'm wondering if they're making any money from this game now anyway. Like
putting it on Game Pass might be smart though, because like at least they'll get some money out of it and start to create a buzz again.
It's on PS Now. but they did
Oh,
the
is it?
dumb thing. Yeah,
PS Now. Yeah, but who's actually paying for PS Now?
I do, because it's 40. I paid $45 for it. I get all these games. To me, it's a tremendous deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous deal because you can get all the games you can download and play, and there's online to the old games. So I know people that say that's like not worth it, but it's got 600 games on it and 400 are downloadable PlayStation. Exactly. Sony's bad at marketing. And that's the thing. Sony's bad at marketing, and they need to get fixed. So if anybody wants to, we should work for Sony. I would like do it for like $150K, you know?
Dear Sony, please hire
We
Todd.
are a deal.
You know what? I'll turn that ship
would you
around.
prefer them or Gamefly? Because I'm just waiting for the Gamefly sponsorship to come in for you. That's
all
every
me,
week.
buddy.
That is every week. As much as I talk about Game Pass, you're like Gamefly. I'm like, did you mispronounce Game Pass? And you're like, no, Gamefly. It's the shit.
That's how I got Avengers for $13 for the win. But yeah, so yeah, more to come on Avengers, and hopefully Black Panther turns it around and they go free to play and more people play it, and maybe they do expansions and pay for the charge for that. We don't know, but you know what? They don't come to us for the answers, unfortunately. Next question, very quickly, guys. Quick questions, Mark. Steam Deck or Switch OLED? And let's just put the caveat. If you already have a Switch or you already have a PC or vice versa. If you already own a Switch, what should you get? If you already own a PC, what should you get? Because I don't want to hear this because people buy 18 Switches, so I don't want to hear that. I want to hear a different argument about this. Because if you don't already own a Switch, I don't know what you're doing. There's 90 million sold. I don't know who doesn't own one right now. So I want to hear it. No lame.
Mark.
Well, if I don't have a Switch, if your grandma doesn't have a Switch. Okay.
Mark, you want to go
Mark.
first?
Sure, yeah. Okay. If you don't have a Switch, I'm going to say Switch. Switch OLED, I think it's the best Switch. But if you do already have a Switch, get the Steam Deck. Because it's just the Switch OLED didn't do enough of an upgrade to justify it. Unless your Switch is dying on its last leg, the battery's exploding, you've got a launch switch, you've dropped it, your dog chewed it, something. Whatever's going on with that Switch, put it down and get the OLED. Otherwise, Steam Deck, if you've got a built-up PC and you like PC gaming, I'm still kind of leaning Steam Deck, because then you can take your PC on the go. If you've got like a big, PC setup kind of thing, unless you have a gaming laptop that you're super happy with, I think the answer here is going to be Steam Deck. And yeah, I'll stop there. Leah, what do you think?
So I think it depends on context of use case, because if I have a kid and I want to play games with a kid, the Switch is the better option because of the nature of Nintendo products, because you've got so many options there. But I was speaking about me. The problem is, and it's an active problem I'm having is I'm going to be flying home finally in 2 weeks' time. Awesome. Finally getting a chance to go see my parents. So I'm thinking, okay, 3.5 hour flight, Toronto to St. John's. I need something to play. So the other day I started perusing through the Switch store. Everything that had any interest to me, I already own. And so if I want to play anything new, like the games that would eventually come to Switch, most of them are on early access in Steam, because I love farming sims. I love any type really of simulation games, puzzle games, action adventures, that kind of stuff. And there's a lot on Steam right now that I could essentially play and try before they're in full release on the Steam Deck. And then plus, don't forget, you might be able to play Game Pass on this thing. So I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't pre-order one. But at the same time, I think I'm just going to wait and see how kind of the rollout goes and let everybody get a lay of the land. But yeah, I mean, if it's for you and you have a very special niche in the types of games that you like, that you can find more on PC than what Nintendo offers, I'd go Steam Deck. But Switch, if you got a kid, or if you haven't played any of these games, Animal Crossing, Breath of the Wild, all the good stuff that comes out that Nintendo makes, then definitely, Switch is a good purchase.
Yeah, and actually, this question is from Sean. His daughter loves Minecraft, but she wants to do mods. She wants to do all those things. And the play you do that is on PC. My son went to town on that. And to me, it's there's never been a cheaper gaming PC ever that's this capable at this price point. So it's a no-brainer because you can hook it up to a dock, put it up to a monitor with keyboard and mouse if you want to do that. You can do the mods, you can do all this cool stuff. So I think it's an excellent opportunity to really open the doors for PC gaming, and you can do it on the go if you want. Obviously, it's a hefty boy, but from everything I've heard, and I've seen more and more output, it's very comfortable. And it's very usable, friendly. It's not going to hurt your wrist, things like that. So I'm hearing all those things. So it's really cool to hear that. But if you want to get into gaming the cheapest way, the Switch is a no-brainer. It makes sense. I always say this, though. If you own a Switch, like a dock one, get a Switch Lite. It's a no-brainer. It doesn't make any sense to get a second one you can dock because ultimately you're just paying extra for things you probably don't need. But yeah, Switch is a no-brainer. The library is fantastic. I don't know what else to say. I mean, plus... if you own a PC, you're going to get all those games there anyways. So a Switch is the only way to play Nintendo games. So I think that's kind of the argument's met.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, this comes from Chris from the Discord. Could Deathloop be Sony's biggest fall game, which is also an Xbox Game Studio game?
Ooh.
I say fall game because that's really their only fall game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else
Horizon
is coming
just got
out
pushed
because,
back.
that got pushed back. What else is coming? This
Kena
year
a
is
indie
weird.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Even,
is such a
is
weird
Kena,
year.
oh yeah, that pushed till September.
September.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then most other things that we're getting, it's like we're getting them everywhere, right? Because it's all third party,
Pretty much,
and indies and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a weird year for Sony. They got to come out and say something. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it is quite possible that that's the biggest thing that they have. Weird though, right? How weird is it to be playing Xbox and go to play MLB The Show and see the PlayStation logo? Like, did you ever think we'd live in a world, like, honestly, seeing the Microsoft logo on Minecraft on a Switch? Like, what? This is weird.
Or PlayStation games on Steam. It's a very weird world.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or Nintendo games on mobile.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So true. So true.
There's a possibility that's. I mean, I'm looking forward more to Kena, just because I like the first frame of that video game that I saw. It was like, damn, like that looks like a beautiful Pixar looking kind of like just awesome, colorful, bright game that I want to just stare at basically. With Deathloop, like looked cool, but I think as a Sony exclusive, like I think it's regardless of like a Microsoft logo being there, I think it's, for me anyway, one of the least interesting exclusive that they've nailed down this generation. So yeah, it's weird. If that's their biggest fall game, I don't think they're worrying this fall because they're still selling, like no one can find them. So they're still going to sell really well through the season. But I think that's going to be basically on their back catalog. And like, I don't know, like maybe Deathloop will be really great and I'll just eat my words, but that it's never impressed me as much as even like Kena, like you said, a smaller kind of game, or most of their other exclusives. Like it's just even eventually I think that's, that'll come to Microsoft and it'll go on Game Pass and I'll be like, sweet, I get to play that for free. And I don't want to spend any extra money on that unless, again, people play it and the reviews come out and it's like phenomenal and whatever. But like, it had a cool art style and stuff, but just never caught me as like, this is a game you must own a system to play right now. So it's going to be a weird fall.
It definitely is. And I will say this, Sony rarely puts their biggest games out in the fall anyways. They don't play in the fall.
True.
They let Call of Duty, everybody play there. Last year was kind of a weird one because they were launching a console. For me, it's like, yeah, Sony wants to stay out of the fray because Madden and all these other games and, Halo and Call of Duty and Battlefront. I mean, it's like, that's a lot of noise. And why are you going to stand out when you can play those games on their system? So I'm not really worried about it. And quite honestly, there's nothing else like Deathloop coming out at that time. So it's a perfect time to stand out versus something else. But arcane games, you either love them or hate them. And to me, I've never loved an arcane game. So this game probably is going to be more, the world looks cool, but I don't love playing it. So
It is,
GameFly will probably bring it to my door.
it is good that it's not
Thanks,
going
GameFly.
up against something similar, or like it's not getting Titanfall, which could be good for this game in the
No.
fall.
Mm.
They're not putting it up against something bigger and better and just basically putting it out to die. So that could really help this game. And I hope it does
Good.
get the attention that, for better or for worse, it should get. I guess, every game kind of deserves its little bit of in the spotlight. So I always hate seeing games like go up against, why would you launch that game the same day as Call of Duty? Or why would you launch this game, a week after Pokemon comes out or something? And every company's bad at that. So if this game actually gets some attention this fall, instead of going up against a couple of big juggernauts, cool. That's great.
Yeah, and remember, Microsoft had nothing last fall. They didn't have Halo. They didn't have any games. So, and it worked out fine for them because they're selling a lot of consoles. So I think the fall is overrated for big games because there's so much noise. Games have gotten ruined because of shipping the time. We always said ship early or ship late. And so I think that's a smart decision to stay out of that fray.
Well, I think it's kind of changed too, like buying habits and that kind of stuff, and who's playing games. And people always thought of it as for Christmas presents and all that kind of stuff. But now we've been stuck inside for almost 2 years. So playing games year round, it doesn't matter, right? We just want new content all the time. So, but I never caught that perspective before, Mark, about how and Todd, how Sony games don't come out in the fall, but it's like that makes sense now. I'm looking at Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima last year, all that kind of stuff. It's right. They leave the fall to sell consoles for holiday and for other people to sell their games on the consoles. Smart business decision there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and Microsoft's got Game Pass, so they don't even care if they sell games because they just want you to buy Game Pass. So, everybody's doing smart things except for EA maybe is finally doing something smart with not having, 85 games launching this time. But we'll see. Well, that was quick questions. Not so quick, but good questions. We'll get better next time. Let's move on to what we've been playing. So, Leah, you've been playing some Minecraft. I've never heard of this game before. Is this going to be a big game?
Small indie.
Yeah,
Never.
maybe.
Small indie.
Just maybe. It might be one of the best selling games of all times. Just maybe.
It's not pronounced Minecraft Day?
No, exactly. No French accent in there. So yeah, I was a latecomer to the Minecraft world. Now, mind you, I've been obsessed now for years, but I would say maybe 2015 I really started getting into it. And mostly through like YouTube and stuff, and then friends wanting to play and build things. And so, every so often I decide to, play on my own. I like tinkering with like turning on Optifine, putting in mods, things like that. So this time around, I decided what I was going to do instead is open up a Minecraft server so I could play with my friends, because I've never really done that before. And I wanted to kind of learn that experience and kind of get my sea legs under me to see if when the 1.18 update comes out, if maybe I want to do a bigger, have more people come in. So right now I'm playing, yesterday I got my buddy Steve Saylor, the blind gamer. He and I jumped on together playing, and he's definitely a creative type like me. So we went into creative mode and we're just playing, building things and whatever, and just, getting a lay of the land, because it's been a long time since he played too. So yeah, it's just lots of fun because I really feel like it is a total sandbox, but if you want to have restrictions, you can set them for yourself, and you can decide at what extreme levels you want. Or if you're tired of playing the normal game, throw a mod in there and, spice up life a bit. So I'm really enjoying Minecraft, and not just playing the game, but like the whole community. I watch a lot of Let's Plays and YouTube stuff like Empire's SMG and the Hermitcraft crew. Like, I feel like I follow all of them now and watch everything that they make. So it's lots of fun. I love Minecraft. Just good time.
How's the Sonic content, or have you tried that out?
No, I haven't tried that. I'm not a big Sonic fan, so it never really appealed to me too much. But I know it's there, and I think it's more of a Minecraft Bedrock thing, and I stick to Java. So yeah, I haven't really gotten into it.
There's
but you weren't the first person to ask me.
Something coming there, isn't there? Like, you can play baseball in Minecraft or something now.
I wouldn't be surprised. They make mods for like anything. They made like a Stardew Valley like mod at one part.
That's fantastic.
Point.
Yeah. A couple of friends of
it's
mine
crazy.
just started like messaging. We have like a little group chat and they just started like, we should start a Minecraft server. And I haven't played Minecraft in a while. And they're like really like adamant that we should start our own server. And they're like, yeah, we should get back into it and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, like if you guys want to like go for it, like I'll jump in. But yeah, now I'm here, like, and now you're talking about it. And it's just like everything's just kind of like do Minecraft. So
yeah,
I might
and probably since the last time you played too, especially if you wait until the next update comes out, because the next update is phenomenal because it's changing the entire world generation because it's going higher into the sky and lower into the ground.
Ooh.
So you're gonna get these epic caves. Like Steve was really keen on wanting to build like a bat cave, right? And having this cavernous space with like, and then making like the gear, and then having like maybe like a Batmobile that he built in it. And I said, Steve, you need to wait until the next update comes, because start planning, thinking about it, you know, how you want to do it. But like the next update, the stuff that we've been seeing in like the kind of samples that the Minecraft crew, the Mojang crew drop, so that you can kind of test the world and report back on if you find bugs. It looks phenomenal how they're constructing caves and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be cool.
The last time I played it, like with any significant time put into it, I built a roller coaster to hell. And so that sounds like something I might be interested in. So this roller coaster started out on the ground level and then went up, and I built a cave into the side of a mountain that was shaped like a skull, and the mouth was open, and the roller coaster went into that open mouth cave, and there was like fire shooting up out of the walls and stuff. And then it went further down until like there was like lava and all that kind of stuff into the ground. Wow. And it was all like, you know, crazy and like twisty turny. And then it came back up and like looped through the sky and stuff. So going higher and going deeper, I think I might have to build a new roller coaster. That sounds like a whole lot of fun. You've got me itchy to play Minecraft again.
I lived Minecraft through my son. He was hardcore mod, doing all these things, watching the videos. So he blew my mind, and yeah, he just loved figuring out the physics of all of the, what is it, the redstone and making connections and doing all that crazy stuff. I'm like, you're having a good time. I am not a creative guy at all. Like I see that, I'm like, I just want to go on an adventure. I don't like building stuff, so I'm just like the worst guy for it. But I love that he enjoys that creativity with Legos and everything. So cool. And Lego missed the boat. They missed the boat on this. Come on.
Also, Steve Saylor's awesome. I just want to throw that out
yes,
there.
Yes,
he is.
Just like,
Steve is awesome.
Yes. I don't know why I didn't realize he was Canadian as well. I just saw a picture of him. It was, who was he hanging out with? Someone, and it was like a few like of the creators from Toronto and stuff. Like I think it was Riley maybe that like from Walmart Gaming Canada. Which is like the best account as well. And I just I was like, damn, I didn't even realize that like a couple of these people were Canadian, and like it's right in their Twitter profile. Like I don't know why I'm like following all these people and not realizing things, but it's like awesome to see like all those people that are like Canadian and like hanging out and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, Steve and I
like
work
everybody
together.
In Canada know each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Steve and I had worked together, and then when the radio station, we were Astral, and then they divested some stations when Bell bought it, and Steve was working at one of those. So we were doing a similar job being webmasters for radio stations, and we lost contact. And then I don't know what happened, but somehow online we managed to touch base and realize we were like, holy crap, we used to work together.
That's
and
awesome.
then we became quick friends. Just picked up where we left off, and then grew into even better friends, you know, playing video games together. He's been on the show a few times. I've helped him out with some of his stuff, worked on a few projects. We had a cool project we were working on, but that COVID kind of killed, and the delay of Cyberpunk kind of killed. And then Cyberpunk kind of died itself. So yeah. But yeah, no, he's the best, and what he does for accessibility in video games and just being a positive influence is just magical.
Yeah, incredible stuff. If you're not following,
Very
go
cool.
follow.
Definitely. All right, Mr. Mark,
Yep.
you've been playing some games.
I've been playing a few, so I want to get to these two, especially the first two that I'll talk about. I got codes for both of these, so I want to thank first off Jules at Pictooi. I just mentioned I didn't even reach out to Jules for this one, but he just launched Pictooi on Switch, and it's this like logic puzzle game that's like a mix of just this Zen puzzle thing and like Brain Age, and I just love it. And you check in every day and you get to stamp off that you did the puzzle that day. And you can do as many puzzles as you want, or you can do one and just get your little stamp for the calendar. And all of like the logic puzzles are all on a grid. So it's either 5x5, 10x10, 15x15. They get more and more difficult as they go. But you get basically your rows and columns, and it'll say for a 5x5 grid, let's say, 1 and 2, and that means in that row or column there's 1 and then a space and then 2 colored dots or whatever, and so then you have to figure out exactly where the dots are, and sometimes it'll just say 1 in a whole line. It's like Minesweeper. You have to guess where that one thing is supposed to go, but usually through some logic and sometimes trial and error, you get to figure it out. But the game is so zen and cool that the timer doesn't really matter. There is a timer, but you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about getting hints or puzzles. It's not going to like take away any points or anything. It's just kind of like this chill brain exercise with like really cool little facts once you solve a puzzle, and all the puzzles are like either food or nature or this or that. And I've been having a really great time with this. So Jules, thank you for that one. And I've loved Pictooi games like Mutant Mudds, Zeo Drifter. I've beaten on every platform I think that I've ever had it on. Like that's just a great Metroidvania kind of game. And this is very, very different from the other stuff that he's done, but I'm digging it. He just talked about it on NVC, and I kind of tweeted out like, "Hey, I really want to play this game." And he literally just DM'd me like 15 seconds later and was like, "Here you go." I was like, "I planned on buying this when I got home, dude. Thanks." So
this looks great.
Jules is really good. He's and that game is really cool. It's pretty cheap on Switch too. So check it out.
Yeah. $9.99. I went and looked it up because I'm intrigued. So yeah.
You're looking for a game to pass away a few hours on a plane.
Oh yeah,
that one might work. Yeah. Don't need the online
Bring on the
bit.
recommendations.
Don't need the online bit for that one. So it's going to help. Cool. Skydrift Infinity is the next one that I want to talk about, and I got this code from our friends over at Terminals, which is just awesome. So this game is basically a racing game. It's developed and published by Handy Games. You're racing in airplanes. So I was playing Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that game is like super impressive and fun to fly. And this game is fun to fly in a very different way. So if you're playing Flight Simulator and you're like, I wish I could blow some shit up, here you go.
Oh, there's combat.
Get this one. There's some combat in this one. So it's like
nice.
action. It's an arcadey racer. So you're going through like different courses and picking up different power-ups and shooting down other planes and getting shot down yourself. And it's fun. It's Handy Games is part of like that THQ Nordic. So like they're this like THQ Nordic just keeps coming out with these like not like AAA, not like just kind of like A kind of games, like they're not quite indies and they're not quite like super big studio games, but they're just like fun, like decent quality kind of stuff. This is out for everything. I think PC, Xbox, PS4, Switch. I've been playing it on Xbox, and it's just super, like I said, super fun kind of plane racing action, kind of like arcadey kind of racing. But I've been digging it because again, with Microsoft Flight Simulator, I was like, cool, I'm going to fly, like go down to, the Orlando airport and like fly around Disney World. And that's cool for a second, or like fly around like the island here and like fly over my cottage in Ingonish or something and be like, yeah, that's neat. Okay. That's where, I was swimming last weekend and like whatever. And it's cool. It's impressive, but like, I kind of also want to shoot something. So just kind of scratch that itch.
It looked like, remember those games that were at the arcade? It was like you're a snowmobiler. It was like the Midway games, or where was it?
Yeah.
Like,
you actually sat on the snowmobile?
or like those was a Hydro Blast games. Those are so much fun.
If this was in an arcade, it would 100% have some like cockpit style thing that you sit in that would like be all gimmicked up and whatever, and like have some kind of
over the top announcer like excellent.
100%. This is that kind of game, and I love that kind of like. If you grew up playing those kind of games on N64 and whatever, like this is that
Cruising
game.
64.
100%. It reminds me exactly of those kind of racing games. Like it's just dumb, over the top arcade racing fun. Like I loved it. And I wasn't sure what to expect. I honestly didn't even know when I got the code that it was a racing game. I thought it was like an air combat kind of game. And I was excited for that. But then they threw the racing aspect into it. And I was like, ooh, okay, let's do this. Like, let's get some air combat plus racing plus like just, again, like you said, that stupid arcade fun. So it's cool. I like it.
Nothing's better.
Yeah. So like, and I guess I'll skip past Avengers because, we already talked about that. So I haven't playing Avengers, like we said. The last one, I mentioned a free-to-play game that I was kind of on the fence about at first, even though I love the franchise, Pokemon Unite. My cousin's been talking about this one. My hairdresser's been talking about this one. Like people I know have been loving this game. And I've been just like, I don't know if I can do MOBAs. I love Pokemon, but like, is that for me? I'm not sure, but so many people have been talking about it that I was like, you know what? It's free. Screw it. Let's try this out. And damn it, I'm hooked. Why? I've tried every single MOBA that I've been able to, like on my phone, iPad, whatever, like console. I like anything that I've been able to play, like I have, and I've never been hooked on any of them. I've kind of gotten the idea, but like it's always been generic or something that I've just been like, I don't care about these heroes or this world or this universe. For whatever reason, if I can score a basket or whatever you do in this game, because you're kind of like dunking basketballs on the other people's goal. If I can do that as Charizard, I'm like, awesome. Let me beat the other team as a Alolan Ninetales for some reason. Cool.
Is this a Space Jam tie-in?
I wish. That would be amazing. Can you imagine Pikachu and the Tasmanian Devil going up against each other?
Oh man,
I would never put this game down.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Just think of the song. The Quad City DJs.
I would never ever put that game down. This podcast would change to the Pokemon Unite Space Jam podcast because I'd never be talking about anything else. You'd just be like Gamefly, and I'd be like, Pokemon Space Jam, let's do this.
Logan, Mark, the title of this episode will be "You Had Me at Pokemon." That's all it is.
All right, I like it. I
don't know too much about this game, Mark. Is it online? Like, can you only play online? Do you have to be constantly connected, or is there any kind of single player mode to it?
I don't.
I think there's bot teammates that you can play.
Yeah,
offline.
you might be able to play
because it's on Switch. Because I think Switch doesn't require any online concept. Well, maybe Fortnite, I guess, is online because there's no.
There are definitely Switch games that require online. Yeah. I don't know. I've only played this at home so far. I haven't played it on the go anywhere. So maybe I'll take my Switch offline and see if I can play anything. The only thing you could really play are like practice missions. So I don't know if you need to check in for those. Obviously, like if you're not online, you're not going to be playing. So it's a MOBA. So you have 5 versus 5 teams, and you're basically paired up with real people going after the other team in this. So for the most part, it is an online competitive multiplayer game. But there are like practice modes and different things that you might be able to kind of like test your skills up a little bit while you're offline. I don't know. I'm not sure.
What's the financial model? Is it buying Pokemon?
Yes. There's a couple of different financial models.
Heroes.
Of this one.
So it's very much like most of those MOBAs. You're buying heroes.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're really smart about it too. So they let you test out 4 Pokemon. I don't know if it switches every week or every day or something like that, but you have your set. So right now I think I have a team or a roster of I think 5 Pokemon or something like that, but it also lets you test out 4 that you don't have. So I could test those out and be like, ooh, I really like whoever it is, Slowpoke. So I'm hooked on that. Oh shoot, the trial runs out in 24 hours. Maybe I should go buy
Sure.
them. There's also a battle pass that lets you unlock some more stuff, and but there's so far for me, there's been a lot of just free coins to unlock that lets me buy stuff just by playing the game. And if you focus on doing the challenges, then I so far have not been really tempted to purchase anything. I did purchase a Charizard, but that wasn't with like real money. That was just with the money that I've gotten from like play 3 matches a day. Defeat this many opposing teammates, check into this, change your outfit, do that. Like there's a ton of things that you can just check off every day that just gives you, it's like, okay, well, here's 50 free coins. Here's 500 free coins. It's like, it's so far been really generous with the amount of free stuff that they've thrown at me that I looked at my wife today and I was like, I'm really digging this game. Like, I think I'm going to buy the season pass just because they give you extra stuff with the season pass. But I was like, I don't need to. And that's a good thing. Like I want to get it because I'm enjoying the experience. And I feel like anytime I'm enjoying the experience that much, I want to kind of invest in that experience a little bit more and maybe get some exclusive stuff that just kind of says like, I'm a super fan because I'm dumb like that. And this game's got me feeling that kind of stupidness again of like, yeah, here's money.
Just wait until they unlock all those like Pokemon balls that you have to buy for like a specific Pokemon ball, Pokeball color, Mark.
Oh my goodness.
You'll be all in, dude. They know you. They know you too well, Mark.
If this game gets a Nidoking, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Like
It's
they're
all
already
over.
good enough with Charizard. Like I've got a couple of my mains, but Nidoking, I got chomping around the stage as Elvis. I'm out.
There's not like, so they must have like a limited number of Pokemon in there right now. They don't have all 800 and something. Right?
No, there's a pretty limited roster. I mean, it's a decent amount.
8 years of content ready to roll.
That's the thing, man. Like they can just keep rolling out. This game gets a little stale and they're like, well, here's a dozen more Pokemon that we haven't released yet. But like, there's a good mix of like really iconic, like Pikachu and Charizard kind of characters to like really weird. Like I started off my game with Talonflame, which is a Firebird kind of thing, and like not the best known Pokemon, and it was one of the first ones I saw, and I was just like, I like Talonflame. Like, it's a good most people, if they're choosing a fire Pokemon, choose one of the fire starters and just kind of continue with that. So I find a lot of time like the extra fire characters don't get a ton of love, and I usually start with a fire Pokemon. So like Talonflame's been like cool, but I've never like had it on my roster in like the mainline game. So in this one, I was like, yeah, let's try it out. And it's cool to see some like less popular Pokemon get some spotlight here. And also, again, like you can get Pikachu and whatever. You can also, I forgot, like buy your Pokemon outfits too, Todd. So like that's another thing where they can, if you want Pikachu to look like he's wearing a samurai suit or something, like take my money. So there's little gotcha things.
Pokemon fans don't like spending money, Mark. Pokemon fans don't like spending money.
No, not at all.
Pokemon Go is such a
reverse
flop
to that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So anyway, this game's free. Like try it out because you might get hooked on it like I did.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Nice. Very quickly, so I'm going to talk about the first game, and then you guys get to pick the next game I talk about. So I've got the choices there, and I can talk about those. But the first one is Skyward Sword. So I got Skyward Sword from my friends at GameFly. Thank you, GameFly. GameFly is the best deal in gaming. I love GameFly. GameFly, you know how to reach me.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think GameFly is in Canada.
No.
Oh, GameFly, come to Canada.
Spoiled.
There you go. I'll reach out there.
Spoiled.
They probably have like Game Moose or something.
Game
I don't know.
Moose. I like that. Someone take that. Go run with it.
The man on the moose. That's
Ryan Turford.
Ryan
Yeah, I was
Turford.
gonna say Ryan Turford would be will probably upset about that one.
That's
Yeah. Well, I got this game. I originally played it when it was on the Wii. This game is a hard game to love. It has everything I hate about Nintendo games, which is it forces you to really get monotonous. It's like, oh, you have to talk to people a lot, and then you have to go to this place and then go back to this place. and it's a lot of reading dialogue. And I will say this. So I gave up on the first game. I don't even think I actually got down to the ground, or maybe I did, and I just gave up because I was so bored after that point. So I went back and I tried this game because I've heard all the improvements to really reduce the amount of monotony. Like, they don't tell you for the 85th time that you've picked up a rupee, which is great.
Good.
Or you've done this. Yeah, so they've done some basic things. They also put some content behind, or accessibility features behind an amiibo, which I just find very weird and just very... Mark knows my feelings about Nintendo just being behind the times in a lot of areas and just not getting called on it. So a lot of things there. So, but they did add it, extra save features. They did add in features. Well, they had to, because people are going to play this on the Switch Lite, which means that you don't need waggle controls. So motion controls, you can play it either with motion controls, or you can play it with stick flicks, as they would call it. I don't know the best way to put it. You flick your sword in the right direction you want to do, but you have to then, I believe, hit the L button for like the Z control, which means you can't necessarily control your camera at the same time you have combat. So let's put it this way. It is a beast. I tried it with the stick flick controls, highly painful and not precise at all. Then I tried it with motion controls, and I have bad shoulders because I had surgery last year. And I tried the flying missions, and I'm like, this is driving me nuts. So I just had to give up, because this game does not make it easy to really get into. And a lot of people have really gotten into it. Like, I really like it so much better. It does have some ingenious just combat techniques of how you approach an enemy, how you hit them, and things like that. That's cool. But everything else just feels like a game from like 2001, essentially, which Skyward Sword always felt like an old game. And so I felt like this is a remaster, not a remake. And I kind of felt like the fact that they charged $60 for this game kind of felt like they did the least amount. There's no voice acting once again. It's prettier. There's that. But beyond that, I mean, I gave up on the game for the first one because a lot of these same reasons. The story is just slogs, and it takes you forever to do anything. And then my least favorite thing about a lot of games is when there's reading the lips, and they go like this. I'm like, there's no emotion. I can't tie in emotions when it's like they're still flapping their lips when the dialogue's done, and so I'm like, I just need to get beyond this. So this is why I really feel like we got Breath of the Wild, because I felt like Nintendo couldn't continue on with the same type of game they've been making since Ocarina of Time. They did take some things from it and make Breath of the Wild, but essentially that's why, with how many people own the Wii, this game was one of the worst selling Wii games of their major franchises. Mm-hmm. It just showed you that people weren't showing up for Nintendo PIP just because to play it, because they felt like it just lacked. So I know some people are enjoying it. I know Sean Capri really loved it, playing with his son, but I think it was because he was playing with his son, finding enjoyment there versus being critically saying, is this a good game, or is it a Zelda game? And it's the only Zelda game we got until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. Because I loved Link's Awakening. I loved it because that was a reinterpretation, remake. So, and they had a special art style, and they did some things, and they played missed things. So I want more of that. I no longer want remasters of Nintendo games. I want remakes where they really go in and rethink it versus giving you something like the Mario collection, which those were ports at best. And I felt like they had a missed opportunity to really show people what Mario could be with just some really nice polish. So
I think that collection kind of set people up for disappointment with this game too, because with Galaxy as part of that collection for full price, you got one of the best games on the Wii versus this game that again just feels like that re-putting the game. Yeah, there's a few quality of life improvements, but for the most part, it was like, okay, why am I paying full price for this one single standalone Zelda game when I just got Super Mario Galaxy as part of a collection?
64,
at least it was full price, and there were two other games with it and the soundtrack and this and that. Why, just from a value proposition kind of standpoint, like I think it's turned off a lot of people, and my wife is one of those people that this is again when we bought this house, my Wii dropped in the move, and I never got to finish Skyward Sword because the Wii stopped reading discs. So that's the Wii that I hacked and made my little emulator machine, but I never got to finish that game. But we still haven't picked it up because talking about it, she's just like, but it's like not, there's no collection. She really wanted that a Twilight Princess, and she's like, oh, is like Twilight Princess or any of the older games like in this collection? I was like, no, it's just the one single game. She's like, that's horseshit. So she like the value proposition was set up where 3D All Stars was kind of like, okay, well, here's a couple of older games, and they're all in a bundle, they're full price, and people had a problem with that alone. But like, so how can they expect anything but backlash with one game at full price from the same era as that? And it's tough. But if you're enjoying it, that's great. But I've still yet to pick this one up, and I'm sure I eventually will. But
yeah, it was just something I wanted to give it a second chance. I hate to like write off games.
I'm happy because Sean had me convinced yesterday that I should pick it up, but now I'm like,
rose-colored glasses, having a young child and seeing his eyes beam, and he, a child doesn't know any better. Like my son, he didn't know any better. He played crappy games too.
Yeah,
sorry,
but it would have been cool if they had packaged it with like that and Wind Waker. It was like, where's that? Right. Where's that on the Nintendo Switch?
And Wind Waker is one of those games I feel is timeless, and it doesn't need anything too much to it. And when they actually brought that game out, they did a lot of quality of life, did a lot of things, and it was a stellar experience. So,
if they took the same All-Stars approach, like package it with Ocarina, package it with Twilight Princess, a GameCube game, essentially. I know most people played it on the Wii, myself included. And then Majora's Skyward Sword or Majora's Mask should be on there as well. I'm thinking of like one per generation. I'd pick Ocarina over Majora's Mask, but like 100% throw everything in there. But like, that would be a better value proposition. I think, like I said, like people were thrown off by the price of 3D All Stars already. So people are going to be really thrown off by this one. It's like essentially just a repackaged Wii game. What are you talking about? Full price. Like it's a tough one to sell, but like Ocarina, even throw just Ocarina in there or Wind Waker, like 100% day one purchase for me.
Well, that's the thing.
They already did that.
They did it for the Wii U. They have Wind Waker and Twilight Princess that they did. And where the heck are those games?
Yep.
Like, and they're already in HD. So
exactly.
They don't have to. They just support them. I mean, they're not anything special. They're already there. They're in HD.
That's it.
Yeah.
Weird. Save as dot switch.
I mean, we already got. And you remember the GameCube collection that I think it was part of Nintendo Power. Like you could send away and get that GameCube disc that had Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2. It had Link's
Awakening?
A Link to the Past. It also had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on a GameCube disc. All those games were free through Nintendo Power. And if you find it, it's worth. I sold that disc. I kicked myself because it's worth like $300 now.
Oof.
It's one, and that actually is something we'll talk about as collectibles in the future. So segue there, but we've got to go one more game. So you guys can either ask me about Halo Infinite Flight, Solitarica, or The Ascent.
Ooh, Halo. I didn't get into the Halo beta.
Thanks. I didn't want to jump in. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just let.
Okay. So let me tell you a little simple story that was one of the most frustrating experiences of my life. So I signed up for the Halo Infinite Flight on PC because I have a PC. I have PC Game Pass. I have a gaming PC. I also have an Xbox Series S, so I can play it wherever. But I specifically said PC because I'm like, I guess I could get in. I could probably get in easier with PC. So I'm like, I get the email. You've been invited. You're there. I'm like, awesome. So I go to sign into Halo Waypoint. I can't even log in the day of. It's like, it doesn't even log me in. And it says, okay, well, you're going to get, and I had to go to this other website to say, okay, how are you been accepted? Okay, yep, I've been accepted for PC. I'm good to go. These are the instructions on how you do it. So I click the link. Page doesn't exist. I'm like, and I go to the like Halo support. Everybody else is getting the same, like, what is going on? I'm like, of all the companies in the world, Microsoft gets no pass for this because they are the cloud service. Microsoft Teams runs they have no excuse. And they knew how many people they were putting this out to as well. Yeah. So it's not like they didn't know. So I'm like, they don't get a pass. They're the ones that are talking about cloud gaming. I'm like, and you can't even get a website to work. And you've only got this many. So I'm like, it's not excusable. This is not like, a small company launches something that doesn't even work. This is a website. I can't even log in. I'm like going back and forth. Don't know what it is. I'm like, I want to send a support ticket to get this. I can't even get to the page to click the support ticket. So I'm like, what is this insanity? Then I'm like, okay, this is going to be dumb. And somebody said, maybe you got into the other version. So did I get in the Xbox version? No, I didn't even say. I look, I'm in the Xbox version. I try to put in the Halo Insider app on my Xbox.
Yeah.
Did I show you that? Did I show you a picture of that, Mark? Like, no. It's here, but it's not available yet. It's like, I couldn't even get the app. I'm like, so I'm like, dude. And my problem was, and you guys are like, what? How do you, things are always right. I was going to Fargo the next day. I'm like, and then it was going to end before I came back. So I'm like, I've got like 3 hours to get into this thing, or I'm not getting a chance to do this. Finally worked. I got in. And basically, it started off, you had basically an armory where you could test all the weapons. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of like they call it the Halo Academy, I believe. Okay. And then you had essentially 3 different maps, and they unlocked the maps over time. And then it was basically bots. And then it was eventually they had different Spartan bots. And then they had, then they eventually did PvP 4 versus 4, like with real players. So okay. that was past time though I was able to play. So I played it, and I'll be honest, I've never been a Halo PvP guy, but I've loved Halo the campaign, and I've always loved the fact that PV is fantastic, that the enemies are great. But I one of my favorite multiplayer PvP games is Destiny, done by Bungie. So, kind of see the connective tissue. I played the Halo and its bots, and it was funny. And I had my son, because I'm not a very good gamer, I had my son test it too, and he's a fantastic gamer. He was getting no-scoped. He was getting killed in 5 seconds. I'm like, and these bots are supposed to be dumb as hell. I'm like, I got killed so many times. I think I killed a few people. He got killed so many. He's like, Dad, what's going on? The tracking's horrible. It's like, I can't shoot anybody. And he's like, he is like killing people. No problem in Destiny. So I'm like, glad to hear it's not just me. So, and I know people are like totally going nuts over this, but I don't know if I hate to say this, I don't know if Halo is a feeling of nostalgia versus what modern PvP games are like, because I played the game, it felt very basic to me. Yes, it felt pretty good, but I'm like, none of the modes or maps felt interesting or special, and the weapons in Halo are feeling a little stale. And I know, and I think that's the problem. I think people that loved Halo grew up and I heard a lot of that. Oh, I grew up in Halo 1 through 3 and all this. And I'm like, yeah, but not many people have these days. The last Halo was 6 years ago, and it wasn't one of the best selling Halos in the world. And Halo 5 had great multiplayer. So I'm like, I just struggle with people getting so excited about it. So I think a lot of the Halo excitement might be people that are nostalgia and hardcore Halo fans versus, is it really a great multiplayer PvP game? And I don't know. I'm really waiting though for a PvE with Halo, and I don't know if there's going to be new modes. I know there's some there, but I'm really waiting for the campaign. But I'm so worried that we still don't have a release date for the campaign that I think we're getting the multiplayer released because it's free for everybody, so there's nothing to buy. I don't think we're getting the campaign this year.
I wouldn't be surprised they pushed it to 2022 too. Like, it kind of makes sense considering they had to go back and fix a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. But I do think it's a good idea to get multiplayer out the door.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what people love, right? And that'll get more people in and wanting to play Halo the game with the story and everything, more so than just putting out the story first and then multiplayer later. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be interesting. Interesting case study if that does happen.
Yeah, especially
and it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, and if they're doing something like play the campaign or beat the campaign, get an extra suit or armor type or something like that for multiplayer, then there's going to be that incentive for people to buy it or play it through Game Pass or whatever. So I wouldn't be too worried if they were worried. I think there's things to throw in there, but like, I'm very excited to play both of these. So it's a shame to hear that you didn't have a good experience, but I'm still very excited for
Halo to come back. I just felt like I was expecting for something like to really stand out to be, this is a unique dynamic. They did some things I thought were interesting. Like they had I'm blanking on the name, the hook shot or whatever you want to call it. They had that, but it felt like the same Halo I've played, since Halo 1. So to me, it just didn't feel like it stands out in Apex Legends, all these other games. I'm like, that's why I'm hoping there's going to be different modes that really stands out. So what I saw in like, we all saw in those like previews for it and everything, that looked cool. But the modes I was playing in, it felt cramped and boring. There was nothing unique about the architecture. It looked cool. It was like, I'm in a warehouse. I'm in a bazaar with some fruit you could shoot, but you couldn't deform. So I just like for a first blush, I just felt like it just needed to do more to excite new fans. And that's to me where it's coming from, where I'm not hardcore. I just felt like it did nothing to make me feel like this feels any different than any other PvP. But I think the cool part is Microsoft's going to make a lot of money off this game because they have season passes. So they're going to make more money off of the multiplayer than the campaign. And the fact, like I said, they can get this out on everything for free day one, and it's not tied to a game because they don't have to sell it on Game Pass. It's a no-brainer.
It's a fantastic way to interconnect all of their services, because if you're into Halo and you can play on your PC, but you're like, hey, I kind of want a console. And then you're like, oh, I can spend money on season passes. Or, oh, I'm curious about this now. I want to play the full game or the story mode. Buy Game Pass. Oh, wait, I'm now in the Game Pass machine, and they'll make more money off me that way than just buying one game, you know? So it's a fantastic and very of the moment business model to kind of see how they're going to play all that out. And this may be another one of those pivot points in the gaming world where maybe because what Microsoft is doing right now may change everything after for the industry. So I'm really keen on watching how this all pans out.
Yeah.
And of course to play, because Halo's Halo.
For sure.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because Microsoft is the only one that is really geared to have season passes and things in their games. They've done a lot of things. I could see Halo or getting my mates, Forza Horizon eventually just be a free-to-play game with expansions, and you buy the expansions or different things like that to get you in the door. Yep. They did it with that with the Hot Wheels pack. I could see them do Gears, same thing. Gears could eventually just be free to play, and then you buy the expansions and all these different ways to make money and keep the cash flowing. And it's about services and the extra pieces and getting the Rock in Gears, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. I'm sure there's going to be more of those, but yeah, like I said, we still don't have a date for the actual campaign. I don't know if they're waiting for Call of Duty to make the first play, but I don't think they have to. Halo fans will show up.
There's a Xbox event that got announced today that's happening during Gamescom. I don't remember. I think it was the 24th of August they announced, happening in Germany. I have a feeling we may hear something then.
I hope so.
Because, we're end of August. Come on. We need to know. If this is coming out this year, it's either give us a date for now or tell us it's pushed.
Yep.
And the campaign is what they have to prove, because nobody said Halo 5's multiplayer was bad. And that's the thing. And if you've got to show it, and we haven't seen that game since, it's been 14 months since we've seen the campaign, and nobody was impressed the last time they saw it. And the last thing we've seen is a cutscene. So, and then we also want to know why this is going to be an open world type Halo game too, which they've got to show us. So I'm just curious. So, and I want to play it because I love the Halo campaigns and playing it with a buddy, and it's just a lot of fun. So I want it to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we talked about things that will eventually be a lot of money in the future, we talked about, what would be worth the money we would have, like a GameCube disc with all of the Zelda games on that Todd stupidly, sold, and now it's probably worth $300. It was just announced that someone has found, they're calling it the Holy Grail of gaming. It's this console TV, which maybe your grandma owned, that is completely it's 500 pounds of wood with a 19-inch screen, maybe, guys. I don't know. But this lady is very excited about it with shag carpet. And apparently it was called the Teledyne Packard Bell cartridge television system. And it plays Cardivision videotapes. I have never heard of any of those things or phrases together. Cartivision?
No.
What is that?
That is...
Sounds like you look at maps with it, like cartography.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what they used to call the cartridges, carts, right? So I see where they're coming at there. But it was never one of the ones that we heard about, video game history-wise, or when we were growing up or anything. So this was a one-off, trying to grab at what they thought was going to be a big industry money ticket item, but just never really made it, right?
Yeah, apparently you could buy it for almost $1,600 back in the day, which is equivalent to $9,000 in modern money.
Woo!
There's
That's
a video
why.
if you want to see. Yeah, yeah. Apparently most of the units are homemade boxes with electronics mounted inside. It's apparently you normally see these separated versus a big thing, and people have turned them into fish tanks and different things. So like people destroyed potentially like collector's editions.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so check your grandma's basement, everyone. And maybe she has it still. Maybe it's like a place where she put another TV on top, like, the old day. If your old TV died, you put another TV on top. It was very classy. Yeah. Yeah. So this gets me into thinking of, we've talked about this, gaming is a fairly new, entertainment medium. It's been around since the 70s. But other things have been around longer. But we're starting to get to a point where people have things that are very old and very rare. And people with a lot of money now from the old days can buy these things. And these rarities can start jacking up prices. And we can start getting a collector's process for basically having like auction houses for gaming. All these different things that create a way to grade things and make things at one point where you thought was very common, maybe is very rare. So in this instance, I mean, Leah, you had a couple stories about Nintendo specifically where it's like, holy crap, I wish I would have kept that box.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff is fascinating because like you mentioned, we're now old enough that this stuff is hard to come by, or we destroyed it as kids. Like my mom was always like, take care of your toys. And this is why I should have taken care of my toys. But no, I had too much fun playing them. But if you did have an unopened copy of Super Mario Brothers, it could potentially sell for $2 million. $2 million.
That's crazy.
What monster doesn't open it?
I know, exactly. That's like the amiibos in the box. I'm like, I don't have the heart not to open it. Yep. But yeah.
Looks like you run a store, right?
Yeah.
You see everybody that has those, it's like, do you have a store? Can I buy that amiibo?
Yeah. So on The Verge, they have an article about an anonymous buyer who paid $2 million for a never opened copy of Super Mario Bros. According to collectible sites Rally. So that's kind of crazy. But this wasn't the first one we've heard in the past little while. Back in July, like this made like the article that I pulled was from BBC, but I know the company that I work for, the big news network CTV, they had a story up too. There's a copy of Super Mario 64, talk about my holy Christmas present, that sold for 1.5 million. So we went from 1.5 being the record-breaking one in July to now, like a few days ago, it being 2 million. So like someone go find something super rare like Mother 3 in a box or something like that, because someone's gonna want to pay big money for it. And often, not only are you paying for it as like, collectibles to have in the house, but now we're starting to think about archiving this stuff for historical purposes. So like not only are we buying them for the fact that like it has value in that sense, it's an unopened box, but also just preservation. And I'm always a keener too about like how things are made. So there's even like a Nintendo museum that's supposed to be coming that they're working on. And last time the article I pulled here was VGC. And Nintendo itself is building this museum, and it's going to have lots of history inside. And I'm really hoping that maybe one day I can take a flight over to Tokyo and go visit once it's built, because I'd love to see like Miyamoto's old drawings and stuff. Because like seeing that kind of stuff, like that's priceless, right? And that's history.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where I get nerdy about collectibles and things. It's more the history.
I think anybody's Wii U that has all of those eShop games on it in the future will be worth a lot, because that's about the only place you can buy Metroid Fusion or any of these games. And it's like, oh my God. So it's interesting. All those eShops in all those electronic stores that like the Wii, I think that finally closed. And you think about that, I'm like, there's going to be like, or what was it? The PlayStation that had PlayStation 3. Yes.
I have PT on my console.
Exactly, and you think
I can never get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like
exactly, and you're like, I mean, eventually they're all going to die because I guess the internal batteries die on. I mean, just be very careful. But I mean, but it's amazing what could be worth a lot of money, and just and it was kind of funny because Chris Kohler said, "I never expected the first $1 million game to be this game," which it's a great point. This wasn't a rare game. I mean, it's in great condition, but this is not like your Bible games on NES. This is not like your that was it the NES. Was it the Super Nintendo game or whatever they call it? Was the where they had that competition where they had like 6 games or 3 games on a cartridge to play it at like the
like the World
help me out,
Champion
Nintendo
game
friends.
kind of
Super Mario,
Yeah, exactly.
Mario All Stars or something.
Well, it was the World Championship,
the
Nintendo World Championship.
yeah,
Oh,
in the
right.
80s,
That's the one that they did with the wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Where they had like 4 games on an NES cart, and it was like this. There were only like 25 made. I'm like, those are the type of games because I feel like it's all about rarity and only so many people that have those versus a pristine copy of a game. Like my buddy Steve in college, he had an N64, and he was the guy that kept the box in pristine condition, would keep the plastic like bag that it came in the cart, and he would put it in and put it back every time. I'm like, dude, you're anal.
Wow.
But he's laughing now.
Yeah, for sure. He might have some good quality collectibles. Like, and that's the thing for me is like, as a kid growing up with NES, Super Nintendo, N64, like the time I got a new one, my mom would give away the consoles or the games or both to like my younger cousins and stuff. And like, I was lucky enough to go back and recollect. Like I have a NES, Super Nintendo, GameCube, my N64, like I have all those now, but like I have no games, like, or very few games that I still have collected. Cause I've gone back to my cousins, my uncles, aunts, whatever, and been like, do you know what you did to those games? And they were like, I don't know. We probably gave them away, or they probably went in storage or in the garbage or whatever. And it's like, I have no idea where they are. It's like, come on, man. Like, where's my Battletoads Double Dragon? I need that. Like, you can't buy that anymore. So there's very few games that I still have. And not even just seeing it, that they're worth something. Cause like you said, what kind of crazy, it takes a certain type of like crazy foresight to not open something for 40 years. And I respect that. But at the same time, I'm like, come on, if I have a collectible, like I'm opening it up so I can play with it. Woo-hoo! Like my Assassin's Creed blade that I'm wearing for anyone on video. If I have a collectible, it's just like, it's going to be open and I'm going to have some fun. But, I just like, even just for the sake of having those things, like I don't think back in the day, like video games were treated as such a toy kind of thing for a lot of households that it was just like, if Mark outgrew his shoes, like you pass those down or toss them out. If, you outgrew you're not playing with Power Rangers anymore, but your younger cousin's playing with Power Rangers, they get all the Power Rangers. And it's just like, video games were treated as the same thing. So it's really cool now to see them as collectibles, as art, as something a little bit more than just that kind of, and I know there's toy collectors. There's basically the internet has opened up this crazy world of any kind of thing can be a collectible if you have a nostalgia for it, or if it was rare enough or whatever. But like you said, this wasn't a rare thing, but the rarity is unopened. And I think that's what's going to be interesting in the next few years is like, what kind of thing are people going to find of like some store that closed and the person brought home all the stock and left it in the basement in this sealed off little compartment. And there's like 6 copies unopened of some super rare, NES game or Sega game or something like that. But I want to see the really rare stuff, like a copy of a game that's unopened that there was only 10,000 made or something like that. Like that's when I think we're going to get into some crazy money, but it's really interesting to see this kind of take off.
Have you guys been to the Nintendo store in New York City?
No.
I have not, but I may be escorted there by Sean Capri. So we'll see if that happens in November.
It's worth your while because in there they have a Game Boy that made it through a bombing and it still works and it's still playing Tetris. And it's
Wild.
like corroded and melted, but she's still kicking.
That's amazing.
And that is fascinating
Yeah.
too, right? To know like the
It is.
resilience. Because tech today, it's so easy, like drop your phone, crack the screen, you know, you're done.
Oh man,
This
yeah.
thing,
Well, the battery's gonna
is
explode, right?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This thing made it through a bombing. Like, holy crap. So yeah,
That's
I'm
wild.
just fascinated by this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. You would also like sell your games to fund the next
Oh, yeah.
console,
Yeah.
right? Because you're a kid and you're not making any money. So like, and these things are expensive, especially here in Canada. Games are freaking expensive. So yeah. And now we've got to play with digital, right? So how
Oh yeah.
what is that like? Because like I am, you know, Toronto's expensive to live in. You know, I don't
Mhm.
have a lot of space, and I'm not gonna lie, not having to like wait for my game to get shipped to me or go out to a store. Who wants to go to a store right now when I can just hit that instant buy button on the Xbox store? Like,
Yep.
it's gonna be harder and harder to be able to hold on to these collectible items too as the years go on, just because the way we're consuming content is so different.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's and I'm in the same kind of position right now with movies. I was just talking about
Yeah.
this today where I was looking at my movie shelf and I'm like, when's the last time I actually put in a Blu-ray or a DVD or something to watch something, especially with my Marvel movies. I think I have every single one. I think the last one I actually bought a physical copy of might have been Black Panther.
Mm.
Anything after that, Infinity War, Endgame, all digital. And now on like with Disney Plus and with a young kid, I'm never getting rid of Disney Plus. I'm just going to get a yearly subscription of that until I die because that little sucker loves Mickey Mouse. And I love all the Marvel and Star Wars stuff. So we're never getting rid of that. So why do I have shelves worth of these Marvel movies and Disney movies and all this other stuff? Not to mention the stuff that's on Netflix, Crave, whatever else kind of thing that I can subscribe to when I feel like it. But especially it was the Marvel ones. And I was just looking at it, I was like, man, like I should just sell these. And even if I make like $5 from them, like whatever. But at this point, it's just taking up that shelf space. But like at the same time, I was then looking at some of the other stuff that I was like, okay, well, I got a cool Steelbook edition of this, or I got this one that came with a collectible comic, or I got this or that. And it's like, okay, but if I hold on to these a little bit more, are they going to become rare collectibles because now everything's going to Disney Plus and this and that? So should I wait a little bit of time or should I just sell it now or try to get what I can? Like it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, maybe if I waited 20 years, it'd be worth value, or maybe it'll be worth absolutely nothing. And I should just sell it now and buy myself some chicken nuggets. Like it's such a weird time.
Yeah, I
You don't
miss
want
I miss the director's commentary that we get on Blu-rays. And
Yeah.
all the
That's true.
added behind
Yeah.
the scenes stuff. Like I
100%.
miss, because when I really love a movie, like I will watch that,
Yep.
right? Because I want to know the inner workings of
Yeah.
everything, right?
Why
So-
it just seems so silly that they haven't incorporated, because it's not like it takes up that much more bandwidth or anything, and it's already
An audio
created.
file,
So
right?
that is a big miss with that. Those
Yeah.
Criterion collections that are so unique and special, and
Yeah.
I will say this. Now I'm not sure really quickly. Did you have something that you felt like, wow, this was a special thing that I owned? I owned an Atari 5200. Like I told you, I tricked my sister into agreeing to get it. My parents agreed to it. That system sold like hardly any copies. But those games were all horrible. So it's like, but did it have a great version of Miss Pac-Man at the time, but nothing else was good. But I'm like, I did not, I mean, to even hook that thing up again, I would need like one of those weird adapters, and a modern TV can't even do that. And Mark, you even talked about how you connect an old system to that. It's not always guaranteed that they'll actually create those. And so even having an old system, which eventually will die, guys, sorry, you could keep all your old systems. Eventually things will die inside of them. They'll corrode, the discs will rot. So even then it's a fool's errand. But so getting all those things digital, especially like licensed games, because if you were on the Xbox 360, on the Xbox One, almost no digital like licensed games are on the Xbox One, like all the Avengers games or the Captain American games. So it's a weird cross. So we just got to be careful, guys. So keep the things you love, but don't think that your copy of Mappy Land or whatever is going to be worth $300 million.
So none of us are collectors, right? Like, do you guys have anything that you you do have right now, or that you wish you still had? Like, is there anything that like stands out in gaming space? It doesn't have to be even a game or a console. Like, what's something that you have that you're just like, I love this, a gaming collectible
Trying to
thing?
remember. I don't think
I
really
finally
have
sold my
anything-
Dreamcast. I held on that for years,
really?
and I'm like,
Okay.
I'll eventually get back to it. I plugged in again. I'm like, yep, it's a Dreamcast,
Yeah.
and I sold it.
Probably just my PS4 with PT on it, just because it was such a moment in time.
Yeah.
Trying to think about other stuff. I have most of my other consoles except for stuff that Doug has, but yeah. No, that's the only real thing, because I'm not attached to stuff really. I've tried not to after moving so many times. I'm just like, it's just hard to deal with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way. Like I aside from, like I said, I collected those, and they're on a shelf that I just kind of look at, and I haven't plugged one of them in a long time. Like NES, SNES, GameCube, or N64 and GameCube. Like they're all just lined up, and I don't plug them in, but I just like having those. It's almost like little trophies. But that's it. Like the rest of my stuff, like I've been heavily going digital the last few years. Like I just, whatever, like I don't have that itch to, like, I know limited run games and that kind of stuff. And I think Pictooi, actually, like Atui's partnering for that game with limited run and doing some fun stuff. And anyone that's their thing, like, cool, that's awesome. I wish I had a house big enough to hold every collectible that I wanted, and the bankroll to fund that, because that stuff
And the
just
agreement
gets
from your
expensive.
wife.
And
your wife's probably like,
part
no
of it
more
too,
video
yeah.
game stuff.
I know.
Wait.
Yeah. I'm just going to leave this out, like, on the kitchen table, and she's just going to look at me like, what were you doing last night with the Assassin's Creed blade again? And, but I love this kind of stuff. And like I said, the Captain America statue and that kind of stuff. And I can actually see just over in the corner there, like I have a Metroid, like Samus kind of like gym bag kind of thing. And I just like that kind of stuff, but like none of it's in pristine. Like I use everything, I play with everything that I get. So like, yeah, being a collector and my personality just does not mix. Like I made a video of an unboxing of an amiibo that I got, and it was one of the rare ones that no one could find at the time. And I managed to get my hands on it. I think it was like Meta Knight or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, I made this unboxing video where I like viciously ripped this thing apart, and like to the point where it made some people like almost sick that were like real collectors. And it was just like, I'm offended watching this. And I was just like, I literally, like, there was nothing left of that box. And I just did it just to be like, guess what? It doesn't matter. But now it probably does. Like, you can't find amiibo anywhere, and they're more rare. And like, I could have probably sold that one for way more than it's worth out of box, but you know, I had some fun making that video. Just
use the memories of it, of taking off people.
Of pissing
there you
people
go. That's
off on
worth
the
more to
internet.
you.
So that's worth more than money, I guess. Maybe
it was the. I do miss my Club Nintendo T-shirts that I wore too often, and they fell apart.
The Club Nintendo
you
stuff
can't
was
find those things
awesome.
anymore.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Oh, well, you know, that's what, you know, love what you love, collect what you love. You know, at this point, all those people that hold on to those virtual boys are just laughing at us all now. So there you go.
But they can't
this
see
has
us
been a
laughing back.
lot of fun. No, not at all. No. We're being laughed at as they ruin their eyes with that red background.
Red screen.
Those can't be digital. Oh my God, you cannot make those games digital. Oh well. Well, this was a lot of fun. Leah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And by the way, sweet shirt. I had like an Adidas like shirt in like high school. I love so much. Thank you. That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, my husband works there, so it's kind of my entire closet right now, like, since we're working from home. But yeah, no, anything with bright colors, and I'm here for it. So
he runs a sneaker podcast too, right?
He does.
That's
so
wicked.
Yeah, we kind of have role reversals in our house where he likes the shoes, so he's the sneakerhead and I'm into video games, and it works out well. And it's probably good that I don't collect too much, because he does. His closet, he has like over 100 pairs, easy.
Whoa.
And a lot of dead stock, never been worn too. And sometimes when he really likes a shoe, he'll buy it twice, one to wear and one to put on ice.
Wow.
So yeah, I understand the collector thing. It's just not me.
Amazing.
Well, before you leave, tell us tell the people how they can find you on the interwebs and what you're up to.
Sure. So for me personally, easiest place to find me is Twitter. It's where I'm mostly hanging out, and it's at Leah Jewer. But if you want to know everything about Girls on Games, and it's a weekly podcast that we do, me and 3 friends, and it's not just girls. Simon's on there too, and we bring in cool folks too as well from the video game community to come chat video games with us. A little asterisk that it can be explicit because we will drop the F-bomb here and there. Also too. Sometimes the topics that we cover can be a little bit more intense, especially since considering the state of the industry right now and the things that are going on with Blizzard, Activision, things like that. So we do get into those topics. So, it can be a little bit more on the heavy side, but it's really a chance for me and my friends to get together and chat video games every week. And you can find us at The Girls on Games on Twitter and Facebook. We're just Girls on Games on Instagram. No the in there. We have a Discord, discord.me/Girls on Games. But if you want to know anything, find the website, find the podcast on all the different places that it's available, the iTunes, the iHeart, the Spotify. You can always go track us down at the home base. That's the website, girlsongames.ca.
Very cool, very fun. And just I really enjoy what you're doing. I don't know how Canadians keep invading our podcast, but I love it. Keep it coming. Bring the poutine and the maple syrup, please.
Sure, with pleasure.
Yeah, we have to get some more East Coast Canadians on here. We've had 2 so far, okay. I think, with Fiona and now Leah. So that's I'm getting there. We're taking over the streams.
Slow and steady.
Absolutely. Well, excellent. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. And Mark has now gotten out of his job where he doesn't have to tell you people where to find us, because now we have that in our outro. So at this point, we'll just say thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And always remember, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.